In 1960, Britain drew a map. They took millions of people with nothing in common, different languages, different religions, different histories, and forced them into one nation called Nigeria. It was a ticking time bomb. By 1966, the explosion was inevitable. After independence in 1960, Nigeria was divided among three ethnic groups: the Hausa Fulani in the north, the Yoruba in the southwest, and the Igbo in the southeast. The Hausa dominated. The north controlled the federal government. The Igbo, particularly their intellectual and entrepreneurial class, were seen as a threat. When an Igbo military officer attempted a coup in January 1966, northern officers responded with a counter-coup that summer. According to historical records, they didn't just overthrow the government, they massacred Igbos, systematically, violently. Over 1 million Igbos fled their homes in the north and crowded into the eastern region. Their homeland had become a refugee camp. They weren't just marginalized anymore, they were hunted. On May 30th, 1967, Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu declared independence. The Republic of Biafra was born. 30 million Igbos, tired of being treated as second-class citizens in their own country, said, "We're leaving." The federal government's response was brutal. They imposed an economic blockade. No food, no medicine, no weapons, nothing. The war lasted 2.5 years. The death toll? Between 1 and 3 million people. Most weren't soldiers, they were children, women, the elderly, starving. The world watched images of skeletal Biafran children on television and finally understood the cost of ethnic persecution. On January 15, 1970, Biafra surrendered. General Ojukwu fled to Côte d'Ivoire. The dream was dead. The nation reintegrated into Nigeria. But something remained alive in the Igbo spirit, a memory of injustice that would not be forgotten. For decades, that memory lay dormant. Then, in 2012, a British-Nigerian activist named Nnamdi Kanu, born in 1967, the exact year Biafra declared independence, founded the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. Kanu had grown up in England but maintained deep roots in Igbo land. He understood something crucial. The forces that destroyed Biafra never disappeared. The ethnic favoritism, the northern dominance, the Igbo marginalization. They were still there, embedded in Nigeria's structure. So he launched Radio Biafra from London, a pirate station broadcasting from United Kingdom soil, and began speaking directly to Igbos inside Nigeria, reminding them of Biafra, of their dignity, of their right to self-determination. By 2014, IPOB had exploded. Not into violence, Kanu had explicitly adopted the philosophy of Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., advocating civil disobedience and passive resistance, but into a movement. Millions of Igbos, especially youth, began wearing IPOB insignia, attending rallies, demanding a referendum on independence. The Nigerian government panicked. In October 2015, they arrested Kanu on charges of treason. He was detained for 18 months without trial. When international pressure mounted, they released him on bail, but with conditions. No public appearances, no interviews, no gatherings larger than 10 people. Conditions meant to silence him. Conditions he refused to accept. In September 2017, Nigerian military forces raided his home in Umuahia, killing 28 IPOB members. Kanu disappeared. The government claimed he jumped bail. Others suspected he was dead. For months, there was only silence and speculation. But in October 2018, photographs emerged placing Kanu in Israel, alive and organizing. In 2020, he established the Eastern Security Network, a militia group designed to protect Igbo farmland from what IPOB called herders' invasion. By 2021, Kanu was extradited from Kenya back to Nigeria to face trial, a process documented as an extraordinary rendition, an unauthorized abduction across international borders. Since 2021, Kanu has been held in custody, facing charges of terrorism, treason, managing an unlawful society, and illegal weapons possession. His trial has become a symbol. Every court appearance draws thousands of supporters. Every bail denied sends ripples through the Southeast. What's happening now is a direct continuation of what began in 1967. It's not a new conflict. It's an unfinished war, a war of ideas, of identity, of whether an ethnic group systematically marginalized within a nation-state has the right to determine its own future. The difference? This time there's no physical blockade. This time the weapon isn't starvation. This time the weapon is the law, the prison cell, the terrorism charge, the suppressed voice. 55 years after Biafra fell, the question remains unchanged. Who decides what happens to the Igbo people? Logos or the Igbos themselves? Nnamdi Kanu says the Igbos should decide. And for that, he sits in a cell waiting for a trial that may never come. This is the real history of Biafra. Not a war that ended in 1970, but a struggle that continues in courtrooms and on Radio Biafra broadcasts and in the hearts of millions who remember what their ancestors fought for. If this moved you, if you're seeing the connection between the Civil War and what's happening right now, comment below. Tell me, did you know the Biafran War and Nnamdi Kanu were connected? Did you understand what IPOB is really fighting for? Or is this your first time understanding that Biafra never actually ended? Like this video. Share it with someone who needs to understand that some wounds don't heal in 55 years. They transform. They evolve. They persist. Subscribe to Ikamafuna History TV. We don't sanitize history. We don't hide the difficult parts. We tell the stories of resistance, of identity, of people refusing to accept the narrative others wrote for them. Every week, we go deeper into African history, the history they didn't teach you in school. History repeats when we forget it. Comment, like, share, subscribe, remember. Because Biafra is more than a war. It's a question that remains unanswered. And Nnamdi Kanu is still asking it.